for Testimony Tuesday live today. I am excited to share with you uh, one of my earliest testimony that I remember, um, and it has to do with the pictures behind me. Gary got these pictures for me um, as a reminder and a reflection of when I was 8 years old, and my mom and my brother and our dog and myself, we were out. It's about springtime. It was much earlier than this. Um, the river was still frozen over, and you could see, where you would look down the river and you could just see where the shallow parts had just began to thaw. So you could see the rocks. Um, and I had a great idea, and I asked my mom, could I walk on the ice? And I said, I will be safe. I will stomp my foot, and if I hear the ice crack, I won't step there. And I was about in the middle of the river. It's the Yampa River, um, not a little stream. I mean, even if it was, it would still be dangerous. But um, of course, it made sense that I was very light at 8 years old, so it seemed safe. Um, and I fell through. I fell through in the middle of the river. And if you can just imagine looking down a river, you don't see any opening but that butts right up against the rocks, right up against the shore. So when I fell through, I touched the bottom of the riverbed 3 times. And I came up. And I remember when I came up, I saw across the river a man standing there, and I was yelling for help. And I do not remember how my mom got us out. I just remember her carrying me back to the car and me being worried about Yogi Bear, our dog, who I was worried would fall in. And the gentleman that was there, we were on our bikes, and he took us home. Um, and I lived in a very small town. It was almost impossible for us to not know somebody, especially somebody that would be by the river. And so this gentleman, I remember the car was maroon. It was maroon on the outside and the inside. And we got home, and my mom said, God saved you for something. Like, you have a purpose, because there is no logical, physical, scientific, physiological explanation for why I did not drown that day, and why I was able to touch the ground, touch the bedrock of that river 3 times. And we never saw the man again. Um, and so that is just, to me, um, a reminder that God has had me. And Isaiah 43 is one of my favorite scriptures. It talks about the rushing, the waters will not overcome you. And throughout my life, there have been a lot of opportunities for life to take me out of this world, physically, spiritually, emotionally. But God has always kept me. His angels have truly encamped around me. And when I talk to people and you know, they say what great faith I have. Well, that faith was born out of his faithfulness, God's faithfulness and his goodness and his steady hand reaching out for me, even when I was running from him, when I didn't understand, when I was lost and hurting. And part of what I love about God, what I love about the story of Jesus, is that the world wants to tell us that our value is found in what we do. When Jesus says, I don't need you to do anything but to believe. And I just love the stories of the women in the Bible. I love the story of the woman who washed Jesus' feet with her tears and dried them with her hair. And I love that he has to explain to, I think it was Judas, when he says, this is inappropriate. What is she doing? And Jesus explains to him the difference between someone who understands and really understands God's grace and his forgiveness, versus somebody who has a seed planted in their heart that they did something, that they made the choice to tithe, that they are doing all the things. But when you've been in a position mentally, physically, spiritually, when you don't even know how to begin to do the things, and Jesus still meets you there, you get that. When you're 8 years old and you have no way to explain why you survived, I wasn't a strong swimmer. There was no opportunity to swim. When there's no explanation, but God saved me. That's my testimony. And I have so many examples of how God has continued to save me. And sometimes you don't even know that you need saved, held, delivered, lifted up until he lifts you up and you look back and you go, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that I was in that muck and in that mire. Um, and so I'm thankful for anybody who listens to this today. And last but not least, I am super thankful for the women that God has been putting in my life. Genevieve, if you're there, thinking of you. Lanice, who I met today. Um, oh my gosh, I can see your face, but I cannot think. Maureen. Um, Powerful, beautiful women of power. And um, I hope that maybe it is not, I don't, everybody's calling to go on YouTube or anything else on social media and present, but I feel like it's definitely a time to start telling our testimony, maybe if it's just to ourselves, to remind ourselves how good, how good. One more time, how good God has been to us, especially those of us who he has chosen to walk with him and to reveal these things to us. It's just such an honor, such a blessing, such an honor and a blessing to be here with you, sending my love, and I look forward to seeing you in the morning. God bless y'all. Happy Testimony Tuesday.